when did you really dive into sleep as like, I'm going to understand every, you're an analytical guy, you go all in with something, you do it to like the max. I don't even know what's in that water, how it's processed, but you have everything. You like water doesn't touch your body unless it's filtered a specific way. I know that about you. You don't take a shower unless it's filtered away. So everything is like to the extreme in the way you do it. So when did you say, okay, I'm going to know everything about sleep, like more than anyone else in the world? I'm going to learn from all the experts. When did that happen?
Yeah, so that was about 5 years ago, and seeing this transformation in my clinic and seeing it with people, firsthand.
And what type of clinic do you have?
So this was a nutrition consulting practice. So I'd work with a lot of physicians, would bring their patients over to me, chiropractors, things like that. And so I would help their patients.
Gotcha.
And, it was a great team, great network of people.
Sure.
And just seeing some really remarkable results. But across the board, man. And by the way, you mentioned about, physicians not necessarily being healthy. It's because it's the way the system is set up. Some of the most important people and the smartest people in our culture, our physicians are brilliant.
Yes.
But the system really beats them down, and puts them through a lot just to be able to serve people.
A lot of stress. And
yes, of course. And so all of us teaming up, and it really kind of opened the door for me to do this research.
Sure.
And right off the bat, man, I started to understand why I got well. And so I dug into that first, like what's going on during sleep that makes you recover faster. And so here's what's so cool. If you and I right now, we go to the gym after this interview and we're standing there looking at the gym where it's like we're going to have the best workout of our lives. We're going to crush it. We're in better shape then than after the workout. All right. After the workout, if we go get some blood work done and I get you a hormone panel done, it might look like there's something wrong with you.
Sure.
Your cortisol is going to be elevated. Blood sugar is going to be wacky. Your inflammatory biomarkers are going to be up. But the only thing you did was it's called a hormetic stressor. You just did a workout, and your body will recover from that when you sleep. All right. Sleep is really where your body comes back better from that workout. Sleep is where your body helps to convert food into you. A big portion of that, and most importantly, is to eliminate the metabolic waste products and get stuff out of the way so you can have more room for growth. And actually, same thing with your brain. And this was some of the new research that went into the book. Dude, this is so crazy because your brain creates your body. But when you're sleeping, so there's something called the lymphatic system, right? Your lymphatic system is basically your extracellular fluid. You have four times more lymph than you have blood, all right? So this is kind of the body's channel for eliminating waste. If that lymphatic system gets clogged, nasty stuff is going to start happening. Just kind of like your plumbing in your house. Like if it gets backed up, stuff's going to get kind of gross.
Right.
And so, but your brain has something called the blood-brain barrier. And so stuff can't just readily get there. Matter of fact, your lymphatic system basically stops at your neck. So your brain has its own lymphatic system. It's called the glymphatic system, which a little shout out to the glial cells in your brain that control it. And it's for the purpose of eliminating, and your brain is doing like millions of processes every second, eliminating all the byproducts from all this change it's constantly doing. And it turns on, the lymphatic system is 10 times more active when you're asleep than when you're awake. All right. And your brain cells actually shrink about 60% while you're asleep to make more room to eliminate waste. It's really important. So what they're finding is that conditions like Alzheimer's is probably an inability of your brain to eliminate waste. Wow. It's just compiling all of this stuff, right? So I started learning all of that, but I didn't talk about all of that stuff publicly. But because it was too much, man. There's so much information out there that people didn't know about unless they start to ask the right questions.
Sure.
So.
Crazy. Okay. What actually happens when we sleep? What is the process? Like, what is our body doing specifically, just so I'm aware, in terms of how does it take in the nutrients or burn the fat or whatever it does? Like, what happens? How's it recovering?
Sleep is so weird, though, and this is part of the reason that our culture looks down on it in a weird way. Like, if you got 10 things to do, sleep is one of them.
Yeah. Neglect to sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep when you're dead.
Exactly.
Sleep is for those who are
no
broke.
sleep.
Yeah.
Right. And the only thing that's
it's like a badge of
accelerating,
honor. Like, who slept less? You know what I mean?
It's just accelerating the day to when you are sleeping when you're dead, because your body's really transforming itself while you're asleep. So sleep is sort of weird because
I think they did it before you go into that. I think some documentary I saw, I think it was on happiness, talked about like the happiest people in the world or the oldest people in the world. One of the things they say is like we slept a lot. And the people over 100 years old, like the key to living a long life is sleeping a lot,
it's
taking
valuable.
naps or whatever it may be, and also getting like 8 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things too, is that, you know, at no point in the book do I say you need to get blank hours. It's more about the sleep quality. You know, and making sure that your body's getting the natural, normal stages of REM and non-REM sleep, because that's really what's changing you. So we'll start with the brain first. So this interesting process happens. It's called memory processing with your brain. So you've got these synaptic connections that happen just from people right now listening. This data is changing what's going on with their brain and becoming physical structure. You know, so this is why, number one, you want to mind what you're listening to, by the way.
Yeah.
But then there's this myelination process that basically makes these connections like a superhighway. And a lot of that is going on while you're sleeping. All right. So this memory processing, especially during REM sleep, is converting your experiences into short-term memories. All right. And then eventually long-term memories. But if you're not sleeping, you know, you're going to miss a lot. You're going to miss a lot of that process.
Yeah.
So this is why it's really important for the brain. As far as physically, man, there's so much going on here. Let's just talk about the whole weight loss thing, you know, because we know how our society is doing right now. It's not the best, but a lot is changing for the good. And there was a study done. It was published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal. 2 groups of exercisers, and they put them on the same diet. Group A got to sleep 8+ hours a night. Group B, they sleep deprived them. So they're getting like around 5 hours sleep per night. Group A lost far more weight and body fat than Group B. Only difference was the amount of sleep they were getting. So again, just kind of piggybacking on the point that your body is changing physically while you're asleep. One of the big reasons for that is something called human growth hormone, which people already probably know about thanks to, you know, Barry Bonds and, you know,
Mark McGuire,
Jason, Big Mac, Jason Giambi, Marion Jones.
Exactly.
If you're listening to the show, hey, shout out to you guys. But it's just understanding that this is an endogenous hormone that your body produces. And so human growth hormone is also known as, quote, the youth hormone, right? So kids have a lot of it, and that's why they have so much energy, right? And a lot of parents are just kind of sitting there watching their kids, you know, run around at the park like they're crazy, you know, and it's just they have so much of this human growth hormone going through the system. And according to the research, when we get around the age of 18, we have a pretty sharp decline in human growth hormone. But my argument is that that's not necessarily the case. When we were around 18, we go to college and we stop doing the things that help to encourage human growth hormone production because, like, you know, Mom, you can't tell me what to do anymore. You know, I'm going to stay up and, you know, do whatever we're doing because it's college, you know. And you're getting the biggest secretion of human growth hormone when you go to sleep. All right. So this is helping with lean muscle growth. This is helping with a lot of anti-aging factors. And speaking of that, another one is melatonin. So melatonin is like the, quote, sleep hormone, but it's not really that. It really is a get good sleep hormone. It helps you to go through the normal stages of sleep properly. And here's another thing, though, is that melatonin is quite possibly our body's most important endogenous anti-cancer hormone. Okay, so this is why there's a study that I cited in the book done on nurses who work overnight. And there was like over 50% increased incidence of them having breast cancer.
No way.
Yeah. And then, so that's what I do, man. It's like,
Crazy.
Here's the research and why it's a problem, but here's why it actually is happening. It's because of melatonin. You know, and just if you're throwing off your sleep cycle like that, you're missing a lot of these benefits. And I can go on and on. There's so many different hormone compounds, physical changes, issues with blood sugar. You know, there's a lot there. But the main focus, though, of the book is strategies to make everything good and make sleep yummy again.
And if you want to learn about the key foods you need to eat to master your health, make sure to watch this video right here.
Really? He's like, you were born with this. This
is something you just have to deal with. I'm
Genetics
sorry. Yeah. And so, but it never sat right with me because he told me this has nothing to do with what I'm putting in my mouth. But then he wrote me a prescription to put some drugs in my mouth.